back, my friends, to the InObscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal. And we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should have beens. My name over here, this guy over here, I'm Kevin Williams. That guy over there, way over there.
On your left.
Way over there.
Yeah,
look for him.
Turn to the left, and then that's me.
That's him. And then take two rights. Robert Harrison.
What's going on?
Oh, man. Actually, not much.
First of all, let's get this out of the way.
Get this out of the way?
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes, it's time to party. Time to party, man. Oh, yeah.
I had to fake the noise because I preemptively opened mine.
So, same thing happened last week.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Once
I break it, the
beers down, and
it's just habit.
It's got to open it.
I've never brought beer and just looked at it for 5 minutes. It's right there. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what's going on in your world? Because I've just been working. I have nothing to add to the conversation this week.
Oh, let's see. In the past 2 hours, I have spray painted parts of a fire truck. I have repaired a vintage siren. What would you call that? A beacon, emergency beacon, which is the light bar that goes on top of a fire truck.
So that's a light. I always called it a siren, but the siren is the thing that makes the noise.
I corrected myself because now that I own 2.5 fire trucks, that I have to get a little more authentic. People ask me detailed questions, and it's not a fire truck. It's a piece of fire apparatus. And there's a difference between a fire truck and a fire engine. If you ever want to know that, I'll bore the hell out of you with those details. But yeah, so I've tried to be a little more authentic. It's not the siren. The siren is the big chrome thing that makes the noise. That's right. A separate piece. This is a light bar or a emergency beacon.
Ooh, an emergency beacon.
Yeah. So it's the siren. It's the thing that flashes lights.
It's the thing that flashes lights.
Yeah, so it's used, and it's got a cracked lens. So I was over there with super glue. So I'm a little high. Sniffing the glue.
Well, you've living come the dream. To the right place.
Living the dream. Sitting in the basement sniffing super glue.
Oh, yeah, I am sadder than a man in his 50s sitting alone at home in the sniffing glue.
I've got lots of other areas in the home that I could sniff glue, but I was in the basement of all places because this was the only really place that if I made a mess, I'm not going to be that unhappy. So,
well, this room,
it's a multi-purpose room.
Well, you said a couple of weeks ago when we moved down here, you said this is sort of like a 70s or 60s, your parents' basement.
Yeah.
We didn't even bring up the fact that 70s show, they used to sit down in a basement that looked kind of like this, smoking pot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a partial inspiration.
So is Red still thinking about giving you the car, maybe?
Even if we do get it, we're going to need some serious gas money because the cruiser's a boat.
I know it's a boat. This whole gas shortage bites.
Who's getting a boat?
There is no gas shortage, man. It's all fake. The oil companies control everything. Like there's this guy who invented this car that runs on water, man. It's got a fiberglass air-cooled engine and it runs on water.
So it is a boat.
No, it's a car. Only you put water in the gas tank instead of gas. And it runs on water, man!
I never heard of this car. Hey, Jackie's good for gas money.
You are such a whore.
When does a boat get here, whore?
It was partial inspiration from my past. Although we didn't have a lot of basements in Florida, we had split levels.
A little too humid.
Yeah, you didn't dig below about a foot. If you dug a hole more than a foot deep, you'd hit water.
You call that a pool.
It was a pool. Or septic
Indoor
tank.
pool.
One of the two. We don't talk about that. But we had split level houses, which were kind of like a basement. So this is my version of, I've bought homes to remodel that had these kind of basements, the cool basements that were cool in about 1968 to 72. Yeah, so that's the
They doubled as a fallout shelter. Right?
Fallout shelter, swingers paradise. Kind of the same thing.
The key club.
Yeah, they put your keys in the bowl.
Is that what that bowl's for?
Yeah, that's what that bowl's for.
Okay.
That's a different podcast.
All right. Well, after you put your keys in the bowl.
Good, baby. Very good.
Go listen to Pot of Thunder, Cobras and Fire, Growing Up Rock, Slamfest Podcast, Decibel Geek, A to Z Radio, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Hustle, Disciples of the Watch, Podcast Rock City, Sean Geek and Fast Fret Podcast, State of Amorica, Rock Strikes 10, Potter Than Hell, Podkiss, The Kiss Room, Ages of Rock, Retro Zest Podcast, The Synaptic Empire, and don't forget about Monty's Rockcast. Come visit us, InObscuria.com. It still looks the same as it did last week. Like us, share us, recommend us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Buy some of our swag, and leave us a damn review.
It's been a minute.
The quarter's coming up.
That's right. We need a quarterly review. Get that phone call. Hey, can I see you in the office here? Yeah. Yeah, we got to talk.
All right. Well, Robert, I had to get back to our roots here this week. I needed something to influence
roots?
me.
Which roots?
No. I'm talking
musical
about our
roots.
No, I'm talking about our massive exploration of the occult that we're really into.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's who we are. So, are you familiar with the phenomenon known as pareidolia?
Is that the thing that if it lasts more than 4 hours?
Call your doctor.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Pareidolia is when one sees images of animals or faces or objects in formations like cloud formations or in inanimate objects. You ever seen a face in an...
Like a wolf in a tree stump or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Pareidolia.
Pareidolia.
Not Noia, but Doya.
Right.
Okay. No, I've never heard that term, but I have seen visions of animals and different things.
So scientists...
There's one over there by the door licking himself.
I see.
That's a real... Sorry.
That's a real
one.
dog.
Yeah.
That's a real animal. So scientists will tell you that seeing images of, say, Jesus or the Virgin Mary or Elvis in objects such as potato chips, toast, clouds,
nachos.
They say that's normal, and it's based on a physical cause, and it's a psychological thing that exists within humans. But you and I, we know better. We know because we're in touch with the supernatural, the metaphysical world, if you will.
Yeah, we spend quite a bit of time there.
We do. Let's get metaphysical. We know...
Too soon.
Rest in peace. We know that the spirits are trying to communicate to us all the time. And that just happens to be one way. And scientists...
I've had to block a few of them. I'm like, dude, you got to just chill out.
Exactly. I don't need to see your face in my poop. No. Yeah. So... There have been very famous sacred sightings and objects throughout time. And there's even been people who have done pilgrimages to see, like, the Virgin Mary in a piece of bread.
Yeah.
Or something. And it's a real thing. They've worshipped it. Or in the case of the Virgin Mary grilled cheese. You ever hear of this one?
I've heard of that one, yes.
Yeah.
Is that one that's sold on eBay? Or
monetary gain here. I'm not sure this is so religious. But yeah, I think it was a casino, a web-based casino, bought this thing. This lady saw the Virgin Mary in a grilled cheese sandwich. She took one bite out of it, saw the Virgin Mary, put it in a plastic wrap or something, and kept it in the freezer for like 9 years. Then she decides to sell it on eBay. And some online casino, bought it for $28,000.
Now, if it was a real casino, I might understand because they want to get people in to look at it, but where are you going to go if it's online?
I have no idea.
So you can pull up pictures of it, which you could pull up pictures of it
exactly.
Anyway.
I have no idea.
I guess you know what it was? 3 or 4 newspapers did a story on it, and that was about $28,000 worth of advertising for them. Yeah. I guess that's it.
That's probably what it was. So I have to tell you, what
did you buy?
I'm not like the sign. I didn't buy anything.
Okay.
Didn't do
I was
it.
going to say,
didn't do it.
There goes all of our budget for the year.
But this morning, I burned my toast, Robert. I burned my toast, and when I pulled it out of the toaster, he was staring right at me.
Ooh.
Kevin Dubrow from Quiet Riot.
Oh, nice.
Was in my toast.
I haven't seen him in a long time. That's cool. How's he doing?
He passed away quite a while. He looks like he's doing all right. Still has curly hair. Yeah. Still receding. I'm not sure why that's happened.
It receded. It came back mysteriously, and then it went away again.
Yeah. So I knew that he was trying to send us a message, and so I was thinking, okay, burned toast, Kevin Dubrow, Quiet Riot. Okay, if I'm putting this together like Robin in a Batman show, that riddle me this. That means that it's time for an end of summer party. We're all burned to a crisp, and it's time to party Dubrow style with loud guitars, fast cars, and wild, wild women.
Nice.
Hey, dude, let's party.
So this is episode 141, Beneath the Hair, Volume 5, Forgotten Glam Metal, Summer's Over.
Oh, God. I think 87 will always always in my mind be the summer that I remember, I miss. That was like the fun times. It was the last summer before I had any responsibility or cared about being responsible. So I can't wait to hear this.
I remember, for me, it was obviously 91 when I graduated high school, and hair bands were still reigning supreme that summer. That was before the world changed a little bit after that. But yeah, I just remember there being parties, like pool parties, and you were cranking up the Cinderella and all the stuff that was hip at the time, Guns N' Roses and all that stuff. And it was like party anthems after party anthems. Those bands, the hair bands, knew how to party.
Yep.
And they knew how to write songs about partying.
And throw in Van Halen, even though I don't consider them a hair band.
I kind of do.
They were hair band adjacent.
I kind of do.
They were right there, but still, it's the same everything else because they had, this is actually with Sammy Hagar, it was
the summer song. Oh, man. Love that
Summer
song.
Nights on my radio, which I had to change to Summer Nights and my Camaro. Windows down, cruising in that.
I bet all the girls loved it when you sang that.
Yeah. The big 2 12-inch pile drivers that we custom built for the back of that.
Well, that's the thing. We're going to listen to songs about rock and roll, obviously. You're going to have a party, you got to rock and roll, man. We're going to hear songs about fast cars. Got to have songs about cars. You're going to party.
That's right.
You're going to have some beers. You're sitting out with your friends.
You're going to be out late. You got to get home quick.
You're talking about cars. You're talking about women. Lots of women.
Some beers.
Talking about beers. Oh, man. This is going to be... It's an end of summer party.
I can feel the mullet growing out already.
Oh, I do too.
It's long.
Oh, I got a rat tail.
By the end of the show, I'll have a ponytail.
So let's kick this off. We're going to start it with a band. I'm going to play a song from 1986, so I'm going to get you in the mood here. So this is an American heavy metal band, glam metal, whatever you want to call them. They're from L.A., just like most of them were. Very similar to the band London. Do you know the story of London? You did not watch Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2.
It's on my list.
You need to watch that. So they do this whole thing on London, and the deal with London was that every former member of London had gone on to fame and fortune, and London's like the band that never went anywhere.
But it was the stepping stone.
Nikki Sixx was in London, and all these guys from all the bands in the 80s were in London at one point in time. London never did shit.
How long has London been together?
Too fucking long. Since 1979. Yeah, well, this is like the training school for rock stars.
Yeah.
It's like we get somebody in the band, and
as soon as they leave, they become rock stars. So who else has been in the band?
A couple of dudes from Guns N' Roses, a dude from Wasp, and Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue, Freddie Corey of Cinderella. See, we've been in this town for so long that, like, we're like a cheap hooker on the street. Nobody wants to know about it. So what happens is we have a big following out of town. We come back here, they offer us $50 to play at the Troubadour or wherever.
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
But we will do it for a bar tab.
Yeah.
So the people that were in London that did not go on to fame and fortune are just really
are still in
irritated
London
right now.
So this band is very similar to that, although not quite as extreme. They did have a little bit of success. And this band, though, they did have members that went on to do other things from hair bands. So there was a guy named Jake E. Lee in this band I'm about to talk about. Yeah. He kind of went on to do some cool stuff.
Saw him once.
There was a guy named Craig Goldie was in this band, and a guy named Claude Schnell. They went on to play with Dio.
Okay.
And then this guy, the last guitarist they had, so I've just named a couple of guitarists there. The last guitarist they had went on to form a band in the 90s called Orgy, who had some success in the 90s.
I'd go see that show.
So the band I'm talking about is a band called Rough Cutt.
Oh,
you ever hear of Rough
That's
Cutt?
a great name.
That is so 80s.
Yeah.
And Cutt is with 2 T's.
2 T's, of course.
Oh, yes. So this band knows how to party. They were heavily influenced and developed by the one and only Ronnie James Dio, not D.O.G.
Not D.O.G.
Ronnie James Dio. And the reason is his wife, Wendy, was manager of this band. This is one of her first
with
bands.
band management. Mm-hmm. She's got it down to a science.
Obviously, she managed Dio, but she also managed this band, Rough Cutt.
She manages his hologram now.
She did. That was her whole deal. She did that, and I think realized it was a failure.
Yeah, it was just weird.
It was interesting. I wouldn't say it was good, but it was interesting.
That's pretty much across the board what I've heard. It was like, it was interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I liked it better when Ripper came out and sang.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
Just play the covers and let him sing it.
Yeah, well, they had 2 singers and Dio. I don't really know why they did that. Like, Ripper would come out and sing some songs, and then Holodio would come out and sing some songs.
Holodio.
That's Cobras and Fire have a running joke about Holodio, so I stole that from them.
Okay.
So, Baco.
Hey,
I'm giving you credit, man.
Give him credit. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, Holodio would sing, and then who was the other singer? Jizzy Pearl? No, they opened. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And here is, on the line, one of the leaders of the Brotherhood. It is the mighty vocalist of Lynch Mob, And Dio disciples, it's Oni Logan.
Anyway, we're talking about Dio and Rough Cutt here. So,
Actual Dio.
yes, the actual Dio, he actually produced the early recordings when Jakey Lee was still in the band. I'm not playing that, though. So after Lee left and after Craig Goldie left to join Ronnie James Dio's band, they finally got signed to Warner Brothers after the major talents
the stars left.
So they got signed, and they opened for Crocus and Accept and did a lot of touring with Dio. Imagine that.
He had the inside connection with him.
Now, in 1985, in Tokyo, they played this awesome festival, which was one of their biggest shows they ever played. They played with Dio, Foreigner, Mama's Boys, Sting, and Earthshaker.
That's a pretty big show.
Now, we've played Earthshaker. They're one of the Japanese bands. We played them on the Japanese metal episode. And we've played Mama's Boys. We played them on our, our Irish episode.
I don't remember that.
Irish hair band. Yeah. And then there's this guy named Sting. I don't really know who he is, but Foreigner and Dio, that's pretty
I think he's
cool.
a wrestler.
I don't know. Yeah, that's right. He was. You're right about that. They were supposed to be produced by Ted Templeman, Van Halen.
Oh. Okay.
As Van Halen's producers. But that kind of fell through. So they ended up going to Tom Allom, who did all of the Judas Priest stuff in the 80s.
Okay.
Pretty badass. For their second album, they had Jack Douglas, who did all the Aerosmith albums.
Once again, proven track record.
Pretty awesome opportunities, but they just never broke. Just never broke. So 2 solid albums, and then Paul Shortino, the singer, left to replace none other than Kevin Dubrow. He went to Quiet Riot. And replaced Kevin Dubrow when he got fired from Quiet Riot.
What year was that?
That was 88 or 87.
Okay,
somewhere around
later
there.
80s. Okay.
Yeah. So 2 albums, 85 and 86. And then they actually just released their 3rd album. They were formed in 2000, but they just released their 3rd album last year, 2021.
Okay.
So Paul Shortino's still doing it with Rough Cutt. So we're going to listen to something from 86, and we got to kick it off with just a pure rock and roll, loud guitar song. This is We Like It Loud. Yeah! There's some more.
Turn up to 10, let the traffic
And now we like it at a reasonable volume. It's just, we like it, but not as loud, maybe.
What?
Hearing problems. All right, so 86 was pre-Camaro. So I was driving my dad's Mazda B2000 pickup truck, which is a small, really tiny pickup truck.
Oh, yeah. I had a Mazda SE5, so.
Yeah, I think yours had an extended cab.
Maybe.
I can't remember, but they're not good for anything. They're horrible. Of all things, this is great timing because at that time, one of my good friends, Billy. I won't give his last name. I don't want people harassing him. Billy was, let's see, in high school, I was 114 pounds, maybe 115 pounds, I think, when I graduated high school. But I was 5'9". I'm the same height. So I was just painfully thin, to say it nicely.
Not a lot has changed.
Not a lot has changed. Well, I've regressed. I bulked up to a whopping 162 back in the 30s. About the time I met you, we were both on the sauce.
Yeah.
The creatine.
Yeah.
We looked horrible, but I weighed more. So anyway, so I was that way. Billy, on the other hand, was like 6'2", maybe 200 pounds, big dude. And so we would hang out like the Odd Couple. And he had a Volkswagen Rabbit, and it was diesel.
Oh.
Really slow.
I bet it smelled great.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible. So we, in the summertime, we had nothing better to do. I think we built custom speaker enclosures for this Volkswagen Rabbit, and it had a bitchin' sound system. And then we turned around right after that. I got my Camaro, and we built a custom enclosure for those two 12-inch pile drivers. And so we'd hang out and do that together. We painted a Volkswagen. Well, lo and behold, we knew each other from basically junior high through college, moved away, lost track. I kind of kept in touch through Facebook a couple of times. Well, he's coming to visit Wednesday. I haven't seen him in person in 30, maybe more, 35 years.
Wow.
And so we're going to reconnect. It's going to be, I'm really excited. He was a really good friend of mine. So this is perfect that we're going back in time. I wish it would have worked out where he could have come by, because what I was going to bring up was we would listen to some good metal, but it was Christian metal.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. So he was my source for all of that. I didn't know. I mean, at that time, I was
Some
just
White
transitioning from Striper and all that. He would know the names. See, I don't know any of the names. Go figure, nothing's changed. But I was just listening to what's on the radio, top 40, pop, whatever, Tears for Fears, and which I still like, but he was my connection for all the metal.
Right.
So that's why I wish I could bring him in. Maybe someday we'll get him on to talk about that. But this is not Christian metal. This is just rock and roll metal, good old days. So I was sweet and innocent at 16. I'd not yet been corrupted by the world a year or so later. So once again, driving this Mazda B2000 with 4-inch speakers, it was hard to really rock out.
Right.
But
you liked it loud,
I liked
but
it
you
loud,
couldn't quite get there.
But it sounded horrible in the pickup truck.
When it was loud in the truck, yeah.
But I still remember drag racing in this Mazda.
Wow.
A friend of mine had an MG, and I raced him and beat him and embarrassed him to this day because he thought, I got a sports car, but I beat him in a pickup truck. So this is bringing back some great memories from 86. This is pre getting arrested in the Camaro days, but still raising hell in this small town. We had nothing better to do, but I'm going to have to do some research now and get some names of these bands that I was listening to at that time that you probably did not.
Right.
A different world that we lived in.
I was listening to this.
You were listening to the actual stuff. You had already grown up. I was going to be a little bit later maturity-wise.
We've talked about the year 1986 and how you can tell songs just by the way they sound. And this song fits so well into 1986. And I told you earlier, they toured with Crocus and Accept, and they fit right in with those bands who sort of had already passed kind of their peak for Crocus and Accept, especially had kind of passed their peak.
That was
for
early
their fame.
to mid 80s.
Right. That was early 80s. So they were kind of riding the trends a little bit, trying to figure out how to be the next Motley Crue at this point. And
they couldn't make that turn.
And Rough Cutt, to me, was no different. They were somewhere between early 80s, early metal, and where the hair bands were going with the Poisons and Def Leppard and everything else. Really good band. This song was specifically played for Tony Griggs, who is one of our listeners, who has been asking me since we first started corresponding, dude, you got to play some Rough Cutt. I'm like, all right, one day we're going to play some Rough Cutt.
We listened to the fans.
And I said, yes, we will play it one day. And here it is, Tony. This is for you, man. So
hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you like it loud.
Never to be heard again.
Love some Rough Cutt. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we were in L.A. but I like my hair metal to come from Canada, Toronto specifically.
Yeah, it's a little chillier up there. You got even longer hair.
Not the Sunset Strip. However, there were
the maple strip.
The maple strip. Yeah, a ton of bands came out of Canada, and we've talked about this before. You and I have not heard of these bands. In Canada, they might be big, and just it's weird how the borders keep these bands from coming.
It wasn't just that. I was the extreme opposite end of the country from Canada. It was my biggest international trip up until in my 30s was going to Canada.
That was my first international trip too.
And how disappointed I was that it looked exactly the same as the United States. I don't know what I expected, but I was just like, this looks like Michigan that we just left.
Did you go to Montreal and Quebec?
No, it was just right across, 5 miles into Canada,
right.
Which is why it looked exactly the same.
Exactly.
It wasn't even like wilderness. It was just another town right across the river. I don't even remember what town it was now. But yeah, I was extremely disappointed that Canada wasn't bringing out the exotic buildings and stuff.
I remember thinking the same thing about going to Toronto. I mean, it's a big city. Big city. It was cool. But then when we got to Montreal and Quebec and they couldn't understand a word that my dad and I were saying.
Well, it feels like a foreign country then. You're like, oh,
okay, this feels different.
I need a bathroom.
Now, in honor of our special guest, I've created dinner mondieu. First, we have French fries and French dressing and French bread. And to drink, ta-da, Peru.
So anyway, let's go to Canada for this next band. And it's a band... So you loved Triumph, right? You've mentioned it before. You love Triumph. Yeah. This is a band...
a latecomer to them. I mean,
me too. I was
a recent thing.
I liked their greatest hits when I was in high school. Yeah. That's all I ever owned, though. I never really owned an album until later. Now I own all of them.
And that thanks to your iPod. I'm
such a good band.
Able to go deep with a lot of their cuts. It was good.
So this band was kind of put together in the early 90s. They were like, hey, we got to jump on this hairband thing, man. This is selling. But these were writers. They were writing partners of Triumph. And they decided to get together and form their own band. And they called this band Von Groove.
Oh, God. That's good. But it's so good it's bad.
Their debut album, is solid. I mean, it's a solid, nice hairband album. But it came out in 1992.
A little late.
Even though it's a solid hard rock album, the timing just killed them because of the emerging grunge and alternative scene. And I remember stumbling upon their name. I mean, you don't forget Von Groove because I was...
Was there anybody in the band with the name Von?
There's not.
Okay.
And at this time, if you remember, I've talked about this before, but in the early 90s, I was really starting to get into funk rock. And I heard Von Groove and I'm like, oh, yeah, there's my next funk band. I'm going to check them out.
That's worth $8.
Never found them at any store I went to and didn't know that they weren't a funk band at all. They were like a hard rock hair band. So years ago, when iTunes first started and I could start searching some of these bands that I remembered but never actually heard, I stumbled upon Von Groove again, and so I picked it up, and it's solid. It's a good album. What I didn't know is that they had released, I think, 6 or 7 more albums from 97 to 2001. Or I'm sorry, they released one in 95, and then another in 97. They went all the way to 2001. So they had a whole string of albums.
They kept trying.
They just kept trying. I think their second album, they did like complete soft rock kind of...
Try something completely different.
We can't compete with the grunge guys, so we're going to go the other direction completely.
Air Supply.
I think that kind of backfired on them. But solid band. The first album's killer. So I'm going to play... This is Summer Celebration. I'm going to play... This is all about the ladies and all about partying with the ladies. So here's a little Once Is Not Enough.
Let's do it again. Come on, baby. Once is not enough.
I never get any rest.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
Do it, do it, do it, do it.
Well, once is not.
Oh, that.
Oh, baby. Let's do it again. They're talking about me like changing their oil or something like that. Oh, that was such a good job you did there repainting my kitchen. Yeah, let's do it again. Yeah, so that did not bring back a lot of memories from 1986. Let's just say
this was 92.
There was, or even 92. Just 92 even. Yeah, there wasn't a lot going on at that time.
Had that been released in 1990, hit.
Yeah,
big hit.
Yeah, God, that was good. I mean, I'll make fun of it if it wasn't.
Cheesy-ass lyrics,
it was
but it's
gourmet
fun.
cheese, though. But
it's
at
fun.
that time, in context, that was good. If that had been 86.
Well produced.
Or, like you said, 90.
Good sound.
That had, the bass player did not change notes until a minute and a half into that song.
Bass players back then could really just drink a lot on stage.
Anybody could have played that. I could have played that. Yeah.
Bobby dolled all over it.
Yeah. I mean, shoot up with heroin while you're playing.
No, that was grunge.
That was grunge. And Nikki Sixx, I'm sorry. He did a preemptive strike on all
So
that.
once is not enough. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Did they ever, you said the writing team.
Writing team for Triumph.
Why would you admit that you're a writing team, but yet that's your lyrics? I would have just said, no, I've never written a song in my life. I just kind of thought of that one night.
Hey, but if it's the late 80s or the early 90s, you're having some beers, you're partying, it's the end of summer, you got to go back to school or go back to work or go to work for the first time or whatever you're doing, that's a party song.
That was a party song.
And it reminded me of my friend. We'll just call him Quick.
Quick.
We're not gonna say the full name.
Quick Draw McGraw.
If you know, you know. Let's just say that. And I remember in, I don't know, call it 88 or so, Quick had a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. I did not.
Surprise.
Or in 89 or in 90 or whatever.
I was getting at that earlier. I was like, there wasn't much going on.
But Quick was
in
cool.
that department. There's a lot going on, but not in that department.
Quick was cool, and he had a hot girlfriend, and of course I was like, "You got to tell me the deets."
Yeah, man. What's it like? Yeah,
what's that all about?
Yeah.
And he would tell me about these escapades, and I just remember, and I don't know why I vividly remember this, but he would go on and on about these escapades that they were having, and this younger girl, and we're only like 16, so she's like 15, 14 years old, and the things they're doing, and I'm just like, how long did that take?
Did you like sketch it out first? Was there an agenda?
Because Rosie Palm just didn't last that long, and I remember him saying, "Oh, it was like a whole afternoon, like hours and hours." I'm like, "Man, that sounds hard." That sounds like hard work.
Did you make a sandwich in between that?
Jeez.
Well,
I just remember thinking that was what I was aspiring to, was to have these tantric like 4-hour love making sessions eventually.
You got to grow up a little bit before you get to that point.
He was doing it at 16.
Yeah, what I found out, there was none of that at 16. No, there's like you.
At 16, you're like,
the wind changes direction. You're like, oh God. You get the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition of the mail. You're like, I gotta go. I gotta see you guys later.
So Quick caused all sorts of future problems for me.
Thinking
just because I was thinking I was so inadequate because I wasn't having this, heavily tantric thing going on.
No, that happened for me. I think by my 30s, and Eva was the first time that I discovered, hey, it could be a marathon. It doesn't have to be a sprint. When I discovered
my body's really good at sprints.
Yeah, it's like, gotta go. Pachoo! Point A to point B.
All right, we've had loud guitars.
Yes.
We've had the Wild Wild Women. Now we're going to do some fast cars. All right?
So now that I had experience with.
This is right up your alley here.
Yes.
So no matter what year it is in the 80s, this is right up your alley. So
I had a few.
This is an interesting one because here on InObscuria, we like to play obscure bands. Go figure. This is a band I discovered on eMusic. I've talked about this before. It was kind of like a poor man's iTunes back in the day. eMusic. And it's one of these things where I saw the cover. I'm good at this. I see the cover and I immediately know I'm going to like it, or it's so cheesy I'm going to love it.
Either way.
And this thing had the crappiest cover with these only two guys, hairband looking dudes with sort of mullets, sort of long hair, black and white photo.
Was it a perm or just stringy?
One was stringy, one was perm.
Okay, you got both sides.
Both ways there. They went both ways. It had a really, really bad, like standard bad font. Like a font.
Of course, you had noticed the font.
But
I don't know much about
metal,
font,
heavy metal logos.
You're
are
a connoisseur
everything.
of font.
Heavy metal logos are everything. And when you have just like a standard like brush script.
Yeah.
Font.
So, you know what? We've never done this. We should play Name That Font, where it doesn't spell the band's name. It spells something generic, but in the band's font. Because I know we've talked about bands that rip off like Judas Priest's
right. Or Iron Maiden.
Or Iron Maiden's
Leopard
font.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna work that up.
So this band had an incredibly bad font. So I knew right away, I was like, I'm probably going to dig this. It's either going to be really bad and I'm just going to love it anyway, or it's actually going to turn out to be pretty good. I got the latter, but I couldn't find anything about this band. So you can find this album. The band is called The Rage, not Rage Against the Machine.
That's a whole nother
Not Rage,
genre.
the band from Germany that does like power metal. This is The Rage. I have no idea where they're from. This album, Take on the World, listed as 1992 when it came out. But I can't, you Google schmoogle it, you can't find anything. The only place...
Because you've got to put in very specific, The Rage band.
I put
if
in...
you just put in Rage,
Tom
Morello comes up
the,
every time.
I went to, yeah, well, pretty much. But I went to the Metal Encyclopedia online, and usually you can find everything in there. I went to Discogs, where they basically label any album that's ever come out. Cannot find this band. So they must have changed the name.
Obscure.
Yeah, super obscure, or they must have changed the name when they released it digitally or something, because who knows why. You can find this on Amazon. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on Spotify. But you can't find anything about the band otherwise. So we're going to play The Rage. I can't tell you anything about it. It's supposedly from 1992. I'm going to play a song called Hot Rod from 1992, man. This is you, Robert.
You sure we're not talking about the other subject? Thought you said fast cars.
Check it out.
All right, so the playing on that was fine. The recording was good. The content, it was just lifted off of every other song out there. I mean, you could draw a chart and just take every single piece of that song and make one connection to another song. Not 6 degrees, but just a direct connection to 20 other songs that were out. So I can see why that might have gotten swept under the rug, and plus timing and probably 5 other things. But
their other song, though, You Got the Touch, was awesome. This is Dirk Diggler's best song he did.
Dun, dun, dun. It's like a
got the
Ted
power.
Nugent song. Yeah, it's like all these bad other hair band. But yeah,
it's fun. It's
classic
is
hair
classic
band.
Hair
it was
band.
an easy target. Cars. A lot of times, motorcycles were the thing. They, in videos, it was like even more badass to be on motorcycles,
right?
Instead of hot rods. That was we talked about that last episode. The Trans Am with Monster Magnet. I thought I was like, yeah. A video with a cool car, because that had gone away in the 90s. It wasn't cool to be in a cool car. So, yeah, those days of, God, everything you can do in a car or do 2 cars or however way you can be stupid in a car, I've done it. I've got the record to prove it and the tickets and everything else. But, yeah, that...
Have you ever had a hot rod, a true hot rod? You've never done that, right?
No, I've had sports cars. I've got what you would consider to be a muscle car. It's a newer version, but still, it's got 370, God bless America, horsepower. Yeah.
But you've never had a car where the engine is on the outside of the hood?
No, it's funny because a friend of mine, his wife got him like a 32 Roadster. It's beautiful for his birthday. And he was in his 40s, but he had a real good job, and so she hit it, and we gave it to him, and come to find out he has allergies, can't drive a convertible here in Atlanta during pollen season. So it stayed in the garage for about 2 years, and they traded it on something else. But no, that was always, once again, it was a different generation. So every generation lusts after cars. I was from the 80s. A few friends had kind of muscle cars back then, like actual muscle cars from the 60s.
Right.
But roadsters and hot rods were more like 50s. Right. So that was like people 15 years older than me went after hot rods. So I was going after the Porsches, the sports cars, the German stuff, European cars. That for some reason I just fell into that, which is stupid because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But
Even you can't find the parts.
No, I mean, I work on myself, and I would end up getting the crappiest of the crap from overseas, and it just, I keep it for a couple of years and sell it. So yeah, finally I got the American muscle, and go figure, I've had it for 17 years.
There you go. Wow, 17 years you've had that car?
17 years I've had that car. 270,000 miles on this car.
That's impressive.
And you know why? Because it reminds me of my Camaro. It took me 3 years to figure that out. I was driving one day and I was thinking, normally about this time I think about selling a car, trading it, and I realized, no, this reminds me of that bitchin' Camaro that it was a 6-cylinder, so it was always a little disappointing in the quarter mile. Let's just
not
put
quite
it
as
that way.
bitchin'.
Not quite as bitchin'. So you get me one with a Hemi, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is good. This is enough for me. I'm satisfied.
This is what it's supposed to
This
be
is what
like.
it's supposed to be. But good Lord, if I'd had that when I was 17, I would be dead. Absolutely dead. The stupid shit that I did in a 6-cylinder, I would have wrapped it around a tree in 10 minutes. So no, there was somebody looking out for me.
Well, let's get back to the party.
Hey, dude, let's party.
All right, so we're going to play a band that we mentioned in our last Beneath the Hair episode. That was episode 126. That was the Whiteout. You remember the Whiteout we did? We talked about all bands started with the white this, white that.
And this.
Yeah. So we talked about a band called White Sister in that episode. And that was an LA band. And a few of the members left that band and formed this band, Tattoo Rodeo. Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about Tattoo Rodeo this time.
Oh, that's, I miss how bad those names were back then, though.
Well, Tattoo Rodeo did the thing that a lot of the hair bands were doing at that time. They were kind of throwing in like a little twang, a little bit of country, like Cinderella were doing it, where it was like they started off kind of is a little bit Stonesy, but a little bit country twangy thrown in there. So that's what Tattoo Rodeo did.
Okay, who did the cover? We all need a little shelter. Was that
was Cinderella?
Stones? That was Cinderella? Okay, so that's what I was thinking of then. Yeah, it was
exactly.
Countrified version of that
so
hair band.
Cinderella Heartbreak Station era. That's kind of what Tattoo Rodeo was trying to do. They released their album in 1991, and they actually had a couple of songs on the radio with it. 1991 just got in before things started to happen. But they went on tour with both Bad Company and Damn Yankees that year, which that was a good tour. Those were both good tours to be on.
And Damn Yankees were riding high in 91.
Yeah, well, the Bad Company was too. Remember, it was the Bad Company with the different singer. It wasn't Paul Rogers.
I don't remember that at all.
No?
No.
The late 80s Bad Company.
Really?
Yeah, it was cool. Well, I thought it was cool. It was more hairband style.
Right. Okay, I have to go back.
You have to go back and look some of that up.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they were totally changed. Paul Rogers wasn't part of it. So anyway, Tattoo Rodeo, they released this album called Rode Hard and Put Away Wet in 1991. We're going to play something from that. They did release a second album called Skin in 1995, but in 1995, Tattoo Rodeo was not going to sell, unfortunately. So that was the end of the road that they rode hard and put away wet. Yes, that was the end of that road for them. So we're going to play Sweet Little Vicky. So here's another song about a lovely lady. So let's party with Sweet Little Vicky.
So you drive to the corner, waving at cab.
that was interesting because the first 2 minutes of that song, I was making a list of reasons why I didn't like it, and then it gets to the part where they start throwing in the strings,
Right?
A little bit, a little bit of synth
big
in
production
that.
on this.
And I'm
thing.
like, wow, okay, that came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that because in my head it was 100% rip off of Cherry Pie.
I was going to say this is very
Swinging
Warrant.
to the left, swinging to the right.
They wanted to be
down, fight.
They wanted to be Skid Row and Warrant, and that's what they smashed together to do this thing. But it's a big production.
But once it got into the bigger part of that production, I'm like, only thing that's holding it back is the stupid chorus. Sweet Vicky. Like there was nothing for me in that. I didn't really know.
It's a solid album,
but that song gets major props for the music on that. Though, if they could have just worked on the lyrics a little bit more, but at the time that was good enough, I guess, for them. They're like, oh no, this is going to be a huge hit.
It could have been. Unfortunately, they were chasing Warrant and Skid Row a little too much,
a little too
closely,
too heavy. But that little bit of extra part could have set them apart if they just tried a little bit harder not to sound like Warrant.
Right. All right, Robert. Well, I think it's time. I Love Women.
Really?
That's the name of this next song.
Sorry, it's a little too quick with that. Really? Oh, that's news.
Yeah, that's the name of this next song. Yeah. I Love Women.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope so. You live with a house full of them.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I definitely love them.
Yes.
So we're going to play a little sleaze hair band from Indiana.
No, everybody's really nice there. Well, there's nothing sleazy in
Axl Rose
Indiana.
came from Indiana.
Okay.
Izzy Stradlin.
Point made.
Yeah,
there's
so
some serious heroin
this
problems.
band formed in 1988. And man, they knew if you're going to be in a hair band in 1988, you got to change your name, man. You got to have a rock and roll name. You got to have a name that says, I'm a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did. They have two guitarists. One of them was named Thunder, and the other one was named Lightning.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't stop there.
Give me some thunder. Give me some light. I mean, it just writes its own song right there.
It does. You can have a whole album right there. On bass, they had a guy named Quiggins. I don't get that one, but that's a one-name guy, Quiggins. And then they had...
With a G.
Tricky Lane on drums. Tricky Lane. And then there was Stephen David DeLong, who was the singer. DeLong what? I'm not sure.
I'm just...
The long hair?
No.
He had DeLong hair.
DeLong name. He had DeLong name in the band.
They got signed by MCA very quickly.
Just because of the guitarist names.
You
got Thunder and Lightning in the band? Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a bag of cash.
They got signed because every label was gobbling up hair bands and sound-alikes. And this band's good, but I remember back in the day when this came out, I thought they were the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it hasn't aged quite as well as I remember, but it's still fun. And they actually recorded this album. The band's name is Sweet F.A. Now, first problem with that is there was already a band called Sweet.
Yeah. Pretty well known.
And they had an album called Sweet F.A. Sweet Fanny
They couldn't
Adams.
change it to A.F. That means a different thing.
Yeah, so they named themselves Sweet F.A. I think that was probably not a wise decision.
Yeah.
But, anyway, they recorded their album.
80s was not known for wise decisions.
This
Let's
is
just
true.
put it that way.
Yeah, a whole lot of white powder in those decisions. But this album was recorded in Atlanta, Georgia. Their debut album was recorded in Atlanta, Georgia with Howard Benson. And the name of the album is Stick to Your Guns. It sounds very 80s.
Mm-hmm.
This actually came out in 1990, but they recorded it in the 80s.
The 80s went on to 92.
Exactly.
92 and a half.
Yeah. However, MCA dropped them in 1990 due to lack of sales. They released the album in 1990, and they got dropped from MCA in 1990. That stinks. They did release a second album, though. And that came out in 1991. It did okay. And I remember I actually had their second album first, so it still did okay enough so that I knew who they were and I'd heard them on MTV or something. But I always thought Sweet F.A. were really cool. It's a fun listen.
Okay.
So here's I Love Women, Robert. I Love Women.
I agree.
Hey!
like, all these are 6 degrees of separation from Jesse James Dupree and Jackal.
Who lives right up the street in Kennesaw.
Yeah, and makes some good bourbon right now. He's quite the businessman these days.
We recorded at his studio. The Swear did.
That's
our first time we
I forgot.
recorded.
You had a connection with him.
Yep.
Jesse James Dupree from Jackal. Yeah.
Cock of the Walk Studios.
Cock of the Walk. Is that what
Yep.
it is?
We recorded up there. And he did have logs outside of the studio that he had hit with some chainsaws. Yes, he did.
I mean, that was his claim to fame, lumberjack.
That's what he did.
Musical chainsaw. Yes, that was the 80s.
What'd you think of Sweet
Or
FA?
90s.
Not your thing?
It was, well, it did have some chord changes for the bass player. So give him props for that, but everything else was, yes.
I think that
same
song wrote
old.
itself.
Yeah,
to me.
Winning.
That song wrote itself.
Winning.
And I tell you what, when I used to blast this, when I used to park and just open the car and just blast this, and the ladies were walking by, and I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? I love women. They just keep walking by."
Yeah, this is before they had cell phones to call 911. You never got canceled for doing that.
No, definitely from the Poison Motley Crue vein of sleaze metal.
Yeah,
they're trying to do.
and once again, in the context of that day and time, that fit right in with everything else.
I really loved that in 1990 when that came out. But hey, it's some things age better than others.
Yeah. There's nostalgia for hair metal. Then you listen to some songs. Let's see. She's only 17. Today, like
creepy.
I'm not gonna sing that anymore.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, have you ever heard of this guy named Bob Rock?
Yes, I have. Because what a great name.
Bob Rock.
This is his God-given name.
Mm-hmm. You know who he
Rockstein.
is? You know who he is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's in the music industry.
He is
and he is a producer.
Well, that's what mostly he's known for. He's Canadian. Did you know that? He's a Canadian guy.
Well, of course. I mean,
all the greats are.
Of course.
Yeah, so he's mostly known for producing little bands like Metallica, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, The Cult. He even did 311 for a while.
he's no Mutt Lange.
Most people really know him for Kingdom Come, but he did those other bands as well.
They kind of set the bar high.
Yeah. I can't remember if he did Kingdom Come in Your Face. I don't think he did that one.
No, that was
the second
Bob
album.
Schlock.
I don't think he did that one. Oh, man. Did you know that Bob Rock was a musician?
Maybe.
Did you know that's where he started? I knew this because
I think same thing. I just mentioned him, but I think I remember hearing stories about Mutt also, like picking up the guitar and just showing the guys, like, here's what you need to play, or just hit the tape and let me just play for you.
Right. So I think some people know Bob was a musician because they know that he was in Metallica for a minute when they were looking for a bass player. He played all the bass on Saint Anger when they were tracking that atrocious piece of crap.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, that was Bob Rock on bass, but I didn't know that he played guitar, and I didn't know that he came from kind of a punk background. He was in a Canadian punk new wave band called Payolas, and that's kind of where he got his start.
You bringing the knowledge and the trivia.
I'm just bringing it to the people. And of course, after his major success with Dr. Feelgood and the Black Album, he decided it was time to get back into the game because obviously he is Bob Rock.
Keep his calluses up.
So he formed a band with some of the guys from Payolas, and he called it Rockhead.
Rocket?
Rockhead.
Rockhead.
Rockhead. Yes, Bob Rock's Rockhead.
Not everything can be hits.
Yeah, so he had the former drummer from the Payolas, and the album featured a bunch of guest spots from members of Bon Jovi, The Cult.
think of all the phone numbers this guy has.
Exactly, man. He just did Feel Good and the Black Album. I mean,
that is the top of your game.
How could this not be
rolling in cash?
How could this not be the next thing? This is Rockhead. He actually did a tour in '92 supporting Bon Jovi with Rockhead. The album did not sell well, Robert. Didn't sell well. They disbanded, and he returned to his career in production, mainly with Metallica.
Making millions.
Making a whole lot of money. So let's hear a little Rockhead, because we're partying. It's 1992 when this thing came out, and every band, I think, that was considered part of the hair band movement had a song called Bed of Roses. Well, let's hear their version of Bed of Roses.
You know, I give that a 4 out of 5 for danceability.
He tried really hard. I mean,
he pulled out every producer trick.
Every little
He had
trick.
rock and roll tambourine. He had rock and roll piano. And most
Cowbell.
importantly, rock and roll cowbell.
Yep.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
And I don't know. That had it all. The problem, it sounded like every other.
1992. It was good, man.
Yeah,
it's a
but
solid. It's a solid album,
yeah.
but when you compare it to everything that was going on in 1992, especially with the things that were changing in 1992.
First of all, you take half of the listeners that you would have had, and they've already turned.
Right.
The other half is still
Turncoats.
hanging. Yeah.
Turncoats.
Traders.
Traders.
But then the other half is going, what's over there? What are y'all looking? And there's not a lot of eyeballs or ears on this music at the time. But what I was going to say was, this is one of the problems at that time. I mean, I was definitely into music in the early 90s, and I was into classic rock. I kind of missed the hair band phenomena because I went straight from pop rock, a little bit of Van Halen, to going back and learning the classics and catching up with everybody. And by the time I caught up, grunge, I went straight to grunge. So for me, hair bands, all of that, they all sounded the same because I had not taken the time to really listen to them like you had. And I remember almost getting my ass kicked. Somebody brought up bands. I'm like, yeah, and that Poison. They're like, dude, that's Motley Crue. And I'm like, same thing.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, yeah, it's all the same thing. Of course, I understand there's a world of difference between Motley Crue and Poison now, but back then I didn't. They're all just hair bands. They all just blended in because of that sound right there. You could put any band's name on. That could be fourth song on 74 different albums. That could have been the fourth song on that album.
It became very vanilla spread.
Yeah. And it was good if you just listening to that one song.
It's good. It's fun listen.
Fun listen. Yeah, exactly. But everything sounded the same.
Yeah. Nothing to
I think that's one of the nails in the coffin for that movie. I mean, everything was changing for different reasons, but that's one of the reasons. It was so homogenous. That was half a beer word right
that's
there.
A good one.
My vocabulary starts coming out. Yeah, come on.
Well, we're getting towards the end of the party here tonight. And I don't know about you. Did you go home like after your freshman year of college or your sophomore year?
Yes, biggest mistake ever. So
me too. I did it 1 year.
1 year. And that was
the
it.
first year. I went home after freshman year. And I actually had a girlfriend that summer.
Really?
How about that?
Good for you,
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Williams.
Look at this guy.
Grown up.
But what happened to every guy who did this? You have your girl for the summer, but then you got to go back to school. And that's just not going to transition. You got to leave that summer thing.
We can keep it going, but you know, it's a big school.
Yeah, so that's why the next song we're going to play is kind of a wind down of the summer. We're going to play a song called Love's a Bitch. And this is from a band that I had heard of. This is one of those bands that I read about, but I never actually saw their album anywhere. So again, it wasn't until much later when I was in a used shop or something, I found a used CD. I'm like, oh, that was that band from 5 years ago that I remember that I never actually heard. The band's called Beggars and Thieves, and it's an LA band, and two of the guys had previously been in a band called Modern Design with Vinnie Vincent and Slaughter bass player Dana Strum, who was kind of a big deal at
Great
that
name
time.
for
Dana Strum. Come on. It's the best.
Fred Picker. Jody Slap.
So they got signed to Atlantic Records in 1990. They put out a self-titled album. I read about it, but you never really heard it other than I think they played a video or something on MTV, which obviously I didn't see because I didn't have MTV.
No.
But I read about it.
Yeah, by then I was back out on my own, so I didn't have free cable that I stole from the person across the hall.
Yeah, so they had a couple little, slight movers on the radio and MTV. And for some reason they decided to make a move from Atlantic to Epic. And unfortunately, it's all about the timing. Because at the time they did that, all of a sudden, Epic's like, wait, whoa. What's this Pearl Jam and Nirvana stuff that's going on? Oh, sorry, guys. You probably should have stayed with Atlantic because, we're going to go ahead and sever the contract. We're not going to release what you're planning on producing. So they made the move, I think, for more cash, and in the end, it ended up screwing them over. They finally got their second album out in 1997. 1997, sorry.
No.
Not going to happen. But they've since released 3 more albums, and they remain somewhat active. They're kind of on the Vegas scene, so they're doing the Vegas thing. That's cool, Beggars and Thieves. But their first album is really good, and I'm glad I found it eventually, and I'm going to play from it. And this is Love's a Bitch. End of the summer, you got to break up. Sorry.
True story.
drown. Pull my head above the water, lift me up above the ground. Won't you cover me in your kisses? Ooh yeah, till you wear me down. Spin my head around like a rabid dog to turn vicious. It'll take 1,000 miracles to turn this thing around. No love's a fix. Like these chains around my ankles, like this whip across my back. You know love's a bitch. And there's nothing in this world should ever, never, never make you feel like this. Yeah. You're the cross that I bear, and you're making me the villain in this torture love affair. I'll be blind, unaware. There'll be nothing left between us, nothing left unless you dare to cover me in your kisses. Ooh yeah, till you wear me down. Spin my head around like a rabid dog, you turn vicious. It'll take 1,000 miracles to turn this thing around. No love's a bitch. Like these chains around my ankles, like a whip across my back. No love's a bitch. And there's nothing in this world should ever, never, never make you feel
Truer fucking words have never been spoken, says the half of the podcast that's never been married or even engaged.
You know what would have made that song better, as I'm thinking about it?
Some visuals?
If a certain man were singing that song, the lead singer's fine,
Yeah.
but to me, it sounded like a song that needed to be sung by a Mr. Paul Stanley of the band Kiss.
You're right.
It's your Kiss
I didn't
connection.
think of that at the
sounds
time,
like
but
80s
now
Kiss.
that you said that, I'm like, oh my God, yes. Yes.
That could have been
that could have been 80s Kiss.
That could have been on Crazy Nights or something like that.
Wow.
That is such a Kiss
Once
song.
again, didn't think of it until you said it, and now I can't get that out of my head. I had no idea what I was going to say now.
Dude,
Okay,
I
I'm gonna
love
have to
this
listen
band.
to, now I
love
got to
this
listen
song.
to it again
Yeah.
just with that in mind.
Well, yeah,
You're so right.
love's a bitch.
You are
I could
so right.
see Paul Stanley doing that.
God, they could have made, hundreds of dollars by selling that to Kiss.
Exactly. They could have been in debt. I mean, yeah. Anyway,
Gene would have figured out a way to go, well, if you pay me $50, I'll record it for you.
Gene, at this time, Gene wouldn't even been there. He'd been like, Bruce can play the bass.
That's true. Just wind him up and let him go.
Yeah. But yeah, Beggars and Thieves, that album is really good. Came out in 1990. I mean, good production. The guitars sound fantastic.
No, that's the commonality. All these songs you played from the late hair band era, they had figured out how to do it.
They knew how to record guitars.
The settings on everything, they had all figured it out. You have not played any song yet where we're talking about, well, it was a cheap-ass recording of it.
Right.
No, that's in the early days. They have everything dialed in, so even these bands that don't have massive budgets, they're making them sound like they do.
The only thing that you can say about these songs that we've played is it's the drums. Like, the drums are overdone with the effects.
But that's what the style was.
But that's what they did back then. But yeah, I dig that band. And yeah, so Into Summer, Love's a Bitch. Sorry, babe.
Yep,
I gotta go back to school, and we got to play the field. Sorry.
Yeah, I remember moving home for that first summer because once again, it sounded like a good idea. Free rent. My mom's home cooking. Can't beat that.
They would actually wash your clothes.
Yeah, I'm like, this is gonna be fun.
I went 2 semesters without washing clothes.
I'm on the beach. I mean, our parents, my parents were, we lived in the beach town right on the water. So but that first Friday night, walking out the door, and my mom goes, "Okay, what time are you gonna be home?" And I just had that moment of what. What did you just say?
What do you care?
I just spent 2 semesters at Florida State University, one of the top 5 party schools in the country, and you're wanting to know what time I'm going to... No. It was just like this horror. I don't think I just walked out the door like, no, this is not going to work. Oh, God, what have I done?
Yeah, very much the same with me.
And I remember I fibbed and said school started 2 weeks earlier than it did.
No.
Just so I could leave.
Get out of there.
And I don't remember where I stayed for 2 weeks, and then school started.
I went to summer school. I mean...
Oh, yeah. Every summer after that, I took 1 class.
Well, I did it so I came home to my hometown, and then I was driving to Winthrop, which is a small school that was maybe, 20 minutes away from my house. And so thank God I went to summer school because that was the only way I could get out. And that's, of course, where I met the girl that I was dating that summer.
That's what you're supposed to do, man. You lived a dream. That was the way you go.
Oh, man. But
I worked on the beach in a tourist store. A bunch of irritable tourists. It was not the dream job.
Oh man! Well, it is time to end this party, and summer's over. We're going to be moving into,
even though it's going to be hot as hell for another 6 weeks.
Exactly.
Metaphorically, summer's over.
Yeah, in theory,
school's back.
Over.
Like your girls are back in school.
Oh yeah, they're back in school.
Okay.
Yep. Everybody's back to normal.
Traffic sucks again, thanks to the school buses.
Oh yeah, it's all the same.
Bunch of crap. Did you see what happened today?
What happened today?
We had another fire under a bridge. Like, that's now what we're known for. Shut down 285, right under Ashford Dunwoody.
The same guy?
No, different guy. A tractor trailer caught on fire underneath the freaking bridge. Not 6 feet out from under it. No, underneath the bridge again.
Did it burn the bridge like before?
They've got it shut down.
Oh, my God.
Probably till tomorrow. So you know how bad. This part of the road, 285 is the perimeter around town. It's about 10 lanes wide at this point, and it's where they're been perpetually under construction. So having that part of Atlanta shut down all afternoon. Right now it's shut down and probably until tomorrow. I feel for everybody that's got to drive to work today and tomorrow.
I got to go to the airport tomorrow.
You're going the opposite direction. You'll be fine. But yeah.
So a few years ago, we made international news when, yes, a major interstate that goes through Atlanta, the bridge, some guys set a fire underneath the bridge and it burned the entire thing down. Yes. I mean, the road was gone. You're talking 10 lanes, 12 lanes.
So to explain, the DOT had stored coils of pipe, this plastic pipe.
Also known as petroleum.
Petroleum-based product, which is flammable. They stored dozens of these huge rolls underneath the interstate. So this dude was whacked out on who knows what, lit a shopping cart on fire, and just pushed it into those tubes. And of course, then they went up just like napalm.
Smell that? You smell that? Napalm, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
And it did. The bridge ended up collapsing. It was a huge mess. But
it was a major debacle because it was a major interstate that went through, connecting basically all of Georgia with Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
The Cheshire Bridge Road happened. The bridge over there, it happened twice with cars catching on fire at the bridge or under the bridge or something like that. And now again, we've had it at a major interstate where the bridge has been damaged by a fire.
What the hell's wrong with us?
We're just not right. We cannot get our shit together here.
All right. Well, let's bring this party to a close. The bonfire is going apparently. So
yes. Let's get some marshmallows.
A few weeks ago, we had a show and we talked about supergroups. And one of the groups we played was a hair band supergroup called Contraband. Mm-hmm. And the song that we played was Loud Guitars, Fast Cars, and Wild Wild Livin'.
But
we mentioned there was a band that covered that song a few years after it came out in the 90s, and they changed it to Wild Wild Women. So we're going to play that song.
And we both agreed that we like that better. So here we go.
Yeah,
we're going to
play it.
Prove it.
Yeah. So the band is called Blue Tears. They're a band from Tennessee, and they came out in the 90s as a hair band doing their thing. It was just timing. It didn't work out for them. They were in Tennessee in the 90s, and times were changing, and a hair band from Tennessee in the 90s wasn't going to go anywhere, unfortunately. But pretty kick-ass version of this Contraband song. So I'm going to play Loud Guitars, Fast Cars, and Wild Wild Women from Dancing on the Back Streets by Blue Tears.
Well, what do we have here? Where do you live in my life? I need to stay a while.
Wanna stay young, never gonna crash, never gonna burn it.
I have a new theme song.
All right.
Like, when Chipper Jones walked over the plate, you'd hear Crazy Train over the PA system.
Right.
So next time I do something worthy of anything.
Going upstairs, make a sandwich.
Make a sandwich. Somebody better play that song.
All right.
I'll wait downstairs. When song's over, I'll come upstairs and make a sandwich.
Better with women in there, right?
Yeah.
Loud guitars, fast cars, and wild women.
We hit that on the mark last time, but absolutely. That's the theme. That's the summertime theme. Absolutely. I mean, that's the key to life right there.
It's the way to close a bitchin' party.
Hell yeah.
Hairband style.
Sunburnt, ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Dubrow.
Yes.
For showing yourself to us and saying, it's time to party, boys.
Magic toast. Did you save it? You can sell it on eBay.
No, my kids ate it.
Oh, okay. They don't care who Kevin DuBrow is.
They don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to eat it.
Put some jam on it. Eat it.
No, kids these days, they use Nutella. We did jam when we were kids. They do Nutella these days.
That's for fancy people. We couldn't afford that. We could afford.
I didn't even know what that was.
We made our own jelly. My grandmother made it for us. We never even had to buy jelly.
Now, did you call them preserves or did you call them jelly?
No, it was
or
different.
Jam.
There's a difference.
There is a difference.
No, this was just jelly. Then there was some preserves. There's usually strawberry.
Yeah, and you get big thick chunks of the fruit.
Whatever that was in there. I didn't like that. That was a textural thing.
We used to eat fig preserves.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
We've talked about this before.
My grandmother made that.
This is the best Southern dessert ever. Here's the recipe. Hot cat head biscuits. They're as big as a cat head. They weren't tiny. They're big, like as big as your hand. Mm-hmm. They're still hot out of the oven. And you eat your dinner. But then you have another biscuit that you save. And you stick your finger down in the top of that thing and you waller it around. That's a technical term. Waller it. You kind of wring it out a little bit. So there's a cavity now inside this biscuit. You take that fig syrup right out of that fig preserve and you pour it in there. This or cane syrup. We made sugar cane syrup because we're from Florida.
We had molasses.
And it was, yes, you Yankees.
North Carolina.
Yankees, you're Yankees up in South Carolina. But yeah, you filled as much as you could without it leaking out. If you leaked out, you're a loser. And then you tried to eat that, and it would just run down your neck into your shirt. Yeah. And God, I wish I had some of that right now.
Yeah, so
I'm so hungry.
I used to do honey, so I would save the biscuit for the end
if we had it with dinner, and
I would put the butter on it and then put the honey on it, and oh man, it's so good.
That makes me think of KFC buffet. Have you ever been to the buffet at KFC?
Yes.
Kentucky Fried Chicken came up with the idea, let's do a buffet in the
90s.
Mid-90s, early 90s, because my cousin and I would go there on a Sunday morning, and we would bring the newspaper, and we would try to put them out of business. We would stay there for like 3 hours, eating this buffet slowly but surely and reading the newspaper, and that was the best part, was their biscuits, and they had the little fake honey that would go with it. God.
Oh, man. At Clemson, we had this place, I don't remember what it was called, but it was the oddest buffet you've ever been to. Half of it was Italian, and the other half was Chinese. It was a buffet.
So like 14 different types of carbs, noodles, pasta, to fill you up, and then you had some protein.
Night of party, and you go to that place, man, you can do some business.
Did they have
there.
like a small salad bar off to the side that you didn't even look at? Like, don't even look at the salad bar.
I don't even know.
Yeah, you
don't even know.
You didn't even pay attention. Just go straight for the carbs.
Shoney's Burger Bar. That was.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
That was a big deal.
Oh, your burger would be like 8 inches tall.
Yeah,
it was a burger. It was a burger salad. I mean, it really was a burger.
It was a salad bar with burgers.
Burger stuff. 80s were good. And early 90s were good, man.
The early 90s.
I miss those.
All right. Well, until next time.
See you
later.
There's only really crappy buffets left.